Hi, my name is Andy Fillmore. I'm the Member of Parliament for Halifax, and I am with the Liberal Party. Well, I'm a city planner. That is my first identity, my true identity, I would say. And I was seeing that our cities across Canada, and in particular my city in Halifax, was being neglected by the federal government in terms of support for housing, for transportation and transit, for infrastructure of all kinds. In fact, infrastructure in Canada had been given a failing grade by the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. And the way that we're able as a community to combat climate change and to provide equitable communities is really through the way that we build those communities. And that's what planners do. So I decided that I wanted to try to make a change from the federal perspective with regard to the way that the Canadian government funds the changes that Canadian communities really needed to see. The job of MP comes with the opportunity to achieve a lot, and there are some points that I'm really proud of that I've been able to achieve. Well, I'll go back to my roots as a planner, and now it turns out that I'm the first city planner ever elected to Parliament, which was quite a surprise to me. So it's been a really important opportunity to not miss, to bring that voice of urbanism and community building into Parliament and into the cabinet room when I'm allowed in there. This perspective has, for example, helped me to create Canada's first national active transportation strategy. So this is about biking paths and walking paths and how the federal government supports the planning and building of those. I was able to create something called the Canada Healthy Communities Initiative during COVID, which was a way to activate public spaces in a safe way to kind of draw people back out and recreate social interchange that we'd all kind of forgotten how to do. And there are some examples back in my home city of Halifax, getting historic George's Island open in the harbor of Halifax, which had been a national parks property closed to the public for lifetimes, for generations, and we were able to open that, and now it's a thriving national park again with great visitorship. Those are a few examples. Every minute that you're able to sit in this place in the House of Commons, to be an MP, every hour, every week is an opportunity to make change. It's an opportunity to change the way that the people that you represent live their lives, enjoy their lives, prosper in their lives, get or remain healthy in their lives. There is so much to do and so much you can do from this perch. It's truly an honor and a privilege, and that's what keeps me going every day. What can I do today? Who am I going to talk to today? Am I going to highlight a big idea that somebody has to government? Am I going to listen to a hardship that they're feeling? Perhaps it's getting a family out of a difficult part of the world and reuniting them here in Canada. Is it a really good policy idea that's going to create a tremendous innovation in the federal government? Every day there's something new and something different, and it's just such a joy to be a little part of it. Well, something that I learned about politics after I was elected was about the way that the House of Commons, the chamber itself, really is this beautiful jigsaw puzzle that represents every single Canadian and every single community in Canada. I think a lot of the time MPs arrive on the Hill with an entrenched party perspective about the way things should be. We're pro-climate action, or we're pro-energy sector. And it's easy to get entrenched in those sometimes divergent perspectives. The story that I'm leading to is that we had a debate in the House of Commons on whether or not we should declare a climate emergency in Canada. And during the debate with the opposition, I was at times a little bit demoralized at the arguments that I was hearing. But the more that I listened, the more that I heard that some of the MPs from the oil-rich provinces, for example, they were representing their constituents in their existential crisis, which was, how, if we transition away from fossil fuels, how am I going to be able to pay my mortgage? How can I pay my kids' tuition? How am I going to feed my family? Those are existential threats. Whereas more in my perspective, my riding and my part of Canada, the existential threat was much more about the longer term impacts of climate change and sea level rise, especially in a city like Halifax. So I began to understand that we're all there representing the people that put us there. And every single voice is important, and perhaps especially when we don't agree with them. And that's where the richness of the debate comes from. Yeah, it's really important to be able to work across the aisle with other parties. In my first term as MP, I was lucky to have my name drawn for a private member's bill. And I, because of my background in city planning, determined that I was going to try to get a green lens put on this massive generational reinvestment in Canadian infrastructure that our government was undertaking. And I needed to work across party lines to gain support, to win a vote in the House of Commons to implement this. I wound up developing a great friendship with an NDP MP named Kennedy Stewart, who went on to be the mayor of Vancouver later on. He had a bill, a private member's bill, in which he was trying to improve gender equity in the House of Commons and in government. So we talked, and we understood pretty quickly that we were both trying to do something that the other wanted to be supportive of. And I ended up seconding his private member's bill. He seconded my private member's bill, which is a procedural thing you need to get a PMB into the House. And we developed a great relationship, and both PMBs passed, and I think Canada's better for it. I think our democracy is facing some significant challenges, some headwinds, different even from 8 years ago when I was first elected. I think the big heading here is misinformation, division, divisive ideas, divisive messaging, and the way that social media can amplify and repeat those kind of messages. There is so much work to be done in the field of slowing down to listen to opposing perspectives, really listening to learn, you know. I think oftentimes we find that people are pretending to listen, but really they're just thinking about the next thing they want to say, the next point they want to make, and that's not a constructive debate or dialogue. So we really need to be slowing down to listen to other perspectives. We need to be teaching everyone, not just youth, but everyone, how to find legitimate and trustworthy sources of information. Facebook is not it. So we need to figure out how to bring some truth into Facebook and how to teach people this kind of like digital awareness about where to go to get accurate information, and then deploy that in debate in a reasonable way. But we really need to stop othering people and listening to divisive rhetoric. Politicians cannot prey on people's fears to create division. That's not representing your constituents fairly or honorably. Well, the next generation is, without a doubt, facing some challenges that are unique to their generation, things that we've never had to deal with in prior generations. Climate change, divisive politics, global migrations. There's a lot going on in the world right now. But I have great hope for this coming generation that they're going to be able to face, and not just face, but solve these problems. They are growing up in a world where information is at their fingertips, where they're being taught to, and it's part of what we're talking about here today, taught to engage respectfully with other opinions. They are tenacious, they are self-directed. I'm thinking about my teenage daughter right now and her friends. They know what they want to do in this world and in this life, and they are ambitious, and they want to fix a lot of things that they're facing. So I look forward to a future where they are the leaders, and we are all benefiting from their beautiful minds and really good intentions. It was later in my life that I found my voice and learned not to succumb to shyness. Because when I was doing that when I was younger, when I was 16 and even 26, I was missing opportunities to engage and to share opinions that I think were important to any debate or situation that was at hand. Later in my life, perhaps it was in my 30s, as I became seasoned in the workforce, I learned to use my voice. So if I could go back, I just think of all of the times I was misunderstood, what the things that I was trying to accomplish but couldn't, because I couldn't clearly and confidently articulate what was on my mind. I would give myself a stern talking to and make sure that I learned how to use that voice and understand how to communicate clearly with people.